What's up, guys? Today I'm going to take you through a full minimalist bicep workout. I'm excited to share this with you because this kind of will give you an insight into how I've been training arms over the last few months, hopefully clear up a lot of questions that you might have had. And of course, at the end, if there are any questions that you still have, things you need clarification on, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. A couple things before I get started. One is thank you. And that is a thank you for all of the support on my last video. I really appreciate it. And especially to you in the comments who hyped me up. That was really cool. So I appreciate that. Thank you. The second thing on a more serious note has to do with the content that I'm going to be putting out on this channel. Now, historically, this has always been focused on aesthetics, building muscle, burning fat, etc., looking good. And that still will be the focus, with health as kind of a secondary. It should fit in kind of symbiotically with those goals. But what I've noticed on social media is that is not always the case. And more specifically, there are so many examples that I'm seeing. I'm not searching them out. They're just popping up on my feed of people that are in this health and fitness space that are wildly unhealthy themselves. Perfect example. There's a guy that's younger than me, totally shredded, looks great. He's, doing online coaching and selling information and stuff like that. And he's basically producing zero testosterone, not because, he has some like larger issue, but specifically because he either, abused performance enhancers and now he's off of them, or he's just chronically kind of overtrained and undernourished himself. And I would guess it's the latter, but it doesn't matter. The point is not whether or not people are taking steroids or TRT or whatever. The point is that they're wildly unhealthy, and you shouldn't be listening to that type of information. So I'm going to share more content on specifically how I'm trying to optimize my health. Testosterone isn't the end all be all. I think it's a pretty good proxy for overall health, but digestion, metabolic health, even posture and mobility, kind of a more holistic approach. I'm going to make sure that this year I spend more time talking about that, because that is something that all of those things are things that I think fit into how you look, and more importantly, how you feel on a day-to-day basis. Because, if you look awesome and you feel like crap all the time, what's the point? Like, why would you work so hard for something just to feel like garbage? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I think you can look good, you can feel great, you can be in vibrant health all at the same time. And so I'm going to spend more time talking about that on this channel. But without further ado, let's get into this workout. Again, biceps focused workout. Personally, I don't really do any direct tricep training just because my triceps, one, grow very easily, like genetically. I think they're pretty gifted for me personally. And if they get too big, they actually make my shoulders look smaller, and they kind of get out of proportion. I'm hitting them very hard when I'm doing incline bench press and seated overhead press and, my other pressing movements. So I don't really need any direct work. Obviously, adjust everything based on your own goals, your own physique. If you did want to do tricep specific training, I would do kind of like something similar to this, but like a push down. I think the cable push down is great versus the rope, just because you can go a little bit heavier and it's not as taxing as like a close grip bench or anything like that. But like I said, this is just bicep focused. And what you'll see here is I'm warming up, pretty gradually. With biceps, I think it's really important to take a little bit of extra time to warm up, because if you just jump into it with like cold elbows and like your forearms are tight, maybe you've been typing all the time, I feel like, one, it's harder to get kind of a mind muscle connection, and two, like you're putting your elbows in like a pretty vulnerable position. So I like to take a little bit of time to do at least one set of 8 to 10 reps at a very light weight, just to get kind of the fluid flowing through my arms and get them a little bit warm. And then from there, I'm going up, very gradually, but only doing, a couple reps for each warm-up set, like not really trying to fatigue myself. As you can see, I'm at the gym in my condo building for this workout, not where I normally train. So I'm kind of trying to figure out the weight. It's a great gym because, one, during COVID, you have to schedule. So my wife and I, we can schedule a time and it's just ours for that hour. And the lighting's awesome. Now, the downside is they don't have very much weight. When it comes to really pushing myself, especially for this minimalist style training, it can be pretty difficult. So what you'll see here is I can do the full stack pretty easily, and then I go up to what I thought would be my top set, and that's the full stack plus 35 pounds. I did like a rep and a half there, and I was like, oh, this is too light. So I went up to the full stack plus 50 for my working set. And so when I say working set, basically none of those other sets really counted. They're just kind of getting me warm. And then my working set is like an all-out PR. So it's just that single set. For biceps, it might be somewhere around 5 reps is typically what I'm targeting for this top set. And this is RP 9.5 or 10. Like, you are going pretty much all out on this. And so I was able to get 5 reps, which I'm pretty happy with. Like, the last rep was very difficult, i.e. very high RPE. And so I was pretty happy with the way it felt and kind of the connection that I was able to get. I thought it was pretty taxing. So from there, I dropped the weight for 4 sets. So this is 5 total working sets. 1 set pretty much total PR, absolutely all out. And then the subsequent sets, you drop the weight. Now, it's hard to say exactly, what I do. I do it more by RPE for those back off sets. 10% or 15% is typically like a pretty good rule of thumb. But typically I'll just, RP 8.5 or something like that, maybe 9, but typically like 8, somewhere around 8.5 is where I target for those back off sets. Nothing too crazy. And so for these, I went down to, the full stack plus 35 pounds, which, was just great. I really like the constant tension you're able to get out of the cable curl. I love dumbbells. I love how your wrists and arms are able to move freely. I think that's awesome. But like, the constant tension from the cable is really great, and I think has helped me build my biceps pretty nicely. Between the sets, I guess that's one other thing I should mention, is I do the PR set and then I'll rest 2 minutes or so. Maybe I'd rest longer if this was like a shoulders or a chest or a back workout. But for biceps, smaller muscle group, not terribly taxing, I'll probably rest around 2 minutes and I'll get back in there. This is an advanced training approach. This will not work for you if you don't have much strength training experience, primarily because you just don't have the experience that is going to allow you to get what you need to get out of that top PR set. Like, you don't know what all your weights are. You can't achieve the mind muscle connection required to really fire your CNS on all cylinders. This is not a beginner's program. Let me repeat. Intermediate at the earliest, preferably kind of an advanced program. So as easy as it looks, yes, this is only taking me 20, 25 minutes. Like, this is very intense, for that first set. Now, I love this type of training for the way that I recover, for the way that I feel. This is great. And I've been able to make a lot of progress, as you saw in my last video, training this way. But do not get fooled into thinking that this is easy, because it's not. You will get nowhere if you just go in there and say, oh yeah, I'm going to stick at the same weight, and then I'm going to do a little back off set, and it's going to be pretty easy, and then I'm done. You're not going to get any results. As with anything when it comes to fitness, you will get out of it what you put into it. So as easy as this might look from your perspective, there's a lot of effort going into this. And I think that is why, I've been able to make a lot of progress with it. So I'm pretty happy with the way that I'm looking here. Obviously the lighting's great. The other thing that I have to mention for full transparency is I shot this using my Sigma 18-35, which is a zoom lens. And if you know about zoom lenses, typically, in most cases, when you go to the wider focal lengths, you can get some level of distortion. Same way on wide angle lenses like a GoPro or a fisheye lens, you can get some level of distortion. And if you use the angles properly, you can look bigger. Greg Plitt used to do this all the time. You see this in David Lade videos as well. But full disclosure, there is some of that going on. So that's why I look absolutely enormous from this angle. But regardless, still very happy with the way that I'm looking and the progress that I've been able to make training this way. So with that, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. As I mentioned before, this is included in my evolution program, my full minimalist approach, as well as my approach to advanced dieting, nutrition, everything. And I continue to update this program with each of my kind of new philosophies on training. As I learn more about and kind of refine my training and nutrition, I provide them as free updates. So if you're interested in that, that is in the link in the description box below. But regardless, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys soon.